Hello. How is spring going? We're in a bit of a fog over here in Mendocino. Gray skies. And it's such a difference without the sun shining. I can definitely feel it after a few days. And I have plans to go to the river where the sun will be shining tomorrow and catch a little healing light for my system. And I started a part one of the humiliation rituals that foods and other products have gone through and are going through. And then what I mean by that is there is a pattern to the, it's sort of like there's a product, a plant, say, let's use tobacco as an example, because that one has been on my mind lately. And for me, I had to really realign with tobacco because I grew up with big tobacco. And what I mean by that is companies were pushing and producing tobacco not in a good way, and advertising, manipulating people to smoke and smoke a lot and smoke everywhere, and not considering that it's a sacred plant and growing it in a way that was sacred. When you start to get into any kind of crop being monocropped and industrialized, it gets a loss in its value and its properties, his sacred properties, basically, and healthy properties of tobacco. And I remember working with a friend of mine who's an oracle, and she was saying, you gotta blow smoke for your ancestors. They would love it. And I'm like, oh, I gotta smoke tobacco, and it's a whole thing. But actually good tobacco, raised well, organic, is still full of its value. And I realized I don't like the smell of industrial tobacco when it's burning, but it's fine if it's good tobacco. So there is a difference, and it took me a while to realign because my father was a smoker, my grandparents smoked, just being on airplanes full of smoke in the 70s, which is outrageous, really. It's like, come on. And it was just everywhere and in mass. So it's like you weren't getting enough air. You were getting a lot of smoke-filled air as a child in the 70s. So, and cars. I hated being in a car with the windows rolled up and cigarettes going. And it's all crap cigarettes. So we have to remember that. It's not good tobacco. It is industrialized tobacco. So you're smelling the chemicals burning that they put into the tobacco to maximize their yield, and they're pushing the plant to beyond its natural means. And in that process, there is a loss of its sacredness. So I now work with tobacco often, and I think about people who are smokers, and also consider, and I tell them, it's sacred. Offer it, make offerings when you smoke. Think about others, the unseen, that love tobacco smoke and smoke good tobacco. And this is another thing I think about a lot too, is just living in California and having this Prop 65, and how everything has to be labeled, and how it's just like this mass labeling of things. And how does it feel if you're spending almost $20 on a good pack of cigarettes, grown well or loose leaf tobacco, and it's got this label on it. It's going to cause cancer and birth defects. What does that do to the mind? How does the mind take that on? It's like, I think it's really important that we think about that, because here in California, there's a lot of like, cancer centers coming up everywhere, because all these people have cancer, and guess what? Electricity being ramped up isn't good for us either. So you got those little buds in your ears. Anything that's remote is putting off a electromagnetic field. So just note that we can clear it and we can transform it. We can alchemize the electricity in our homes and make it better. It's not that we have to live without it, but it has an effect. So we've been sold on this electricity is great, but it actually also has an effect. The Tesla cars, Priuses, they have a large electromagnetic field, and whoever is riding in them is experiencing that at higher levels than a regular car. So, and that's just how it is if you're in an electric car, So, but there are tools in biogeometry. There's a tool, a car strip you can put on that will change the energy of the electricity in your vehicle, and it'll alchemize it and move it to a higher vibration using the energy of shapes. And that is just basic understanding of alchemy, that there is a way to transform energy. So, anyways, back to the demonization of tobacco and other foods and plants. Corn is another one I was thinking about, how corn is sacred in many cultures, and actually even in Ireland and Scotland, there's evidence of corn. There's evidence of giant corn in the United States. If you look at old newspapers from the 1800s, there is, corn has been around for a long time, and it's part of a lot of rituals and cultures. And it was taken over by big ag, which is these petroleum companies that are making, the chemicals, and manipulated and corrupted. And what does that do? It corrupts all corn, because we live in a reality that we can't just have one field of organic and another field of non-organic. Everything is mixing in this reality. Everything is this one dynamic energetic field. And so, these companies destroy the integrity of the food, and these companies are also connected to these bloodlines that want to control this reality, and they profit. They profited and they profit today. I lived on Kauai for many years, where they were doing very weird things with corn. I don't know what. They wouldn't even tell us what they were spraying, even when they were spraying next to a school on the west side. So we, a lot of people have geared up to try to find out what are you spraying, and they're spraying chemicals that are banned in other countries. So, and that's all going out to the ocean, and we're surfing in it. So it was just and people were having weird babies with their intestines born on the outside of their stomach. I mean, it was just and it's very weird energy, whatever they're doing. Also, a lot of their fields were in very sacred areas of Kauai on the west side. That is sort of the launching off point of the spirits when they leave their earthly bodies. They exit from this place on the west side called Poli Hale. So the crops are just right there, off the road. You can kind of see them, and it's bizarre, and it's a manipulation, because there is a very purposeful intent by these companies to really destroy and degrade our food system. So that's just a thing. So we have to, of course, I think the more people that grow their own corn and, there's a way to hybridize and things and create good strains of corn. And I also, okay, the whole thing with having and knowing these things and then eating corn, say, or smoking a cigarette, is that if we're out of alignment with it, it also creates a dis-ease in our body. So this is what the nature of dis-ease, can be looked at. It's like if I'm smoking tobacco, there's a big warning label on it. Even if it's good tobacco, then there's a subconscious thing that's happening in the brain that's like, oh God, I hope I don't get cancer. So there's like, I'm doing this, but I'm also, it could be harming me. And you do that every time, say, or every time you look at the pack, same with corn or other foods. If we're eating these foods that are like saying that we know are corrupted, we can change the energy of them too by how we think about it. And of course, try to buy the best foods, even though that's even having a food, disparities and in grades of a food is wrong. But this is the reality we live in with these corrupt systems. So we have to love whatever we're taking in, is what I'm saying. And because when you create the out of alignment energy, and so this is my thing with the Prop 65. It's like you're labeling everything. Yes, some things are harmful. We should know about it in a certain mass, but I'm getting a piece of wood from my jeweler's bench and I have to see that there's a warning that could cause cancer. I was like, okay, so now every time I'm working, I'm going to think about that? No, because I know this piece of wood is not going to affect me. So we have to rise above some of this, over censoring of our reality and know what's really intuitively what will harm us and not harm us. And also, if we're taking in, we have to love it, bless it, change the energy of it in the ethereal, by speaking to it. Oh, thank you for this, this piece of corn, even though it's not organic, I just love you, thank you for nourishing my body. We can transform it. Alchemy is the thing here, and alchemy is important to use. And our words, our thoughts, our belief systems can change things. So a lot of ways we're being manipulated constantly with information, and the food thing is real. Another foods, oats, they went under a humiliation ritual as well. And my whole thing with this is like people go through it, superstars, and also foods go through it, because say there's another food they want to promote that's in competition, they'll humiliate another food and be like, oh no, now it's showing, studies show that oats have, these metals in it, or they're showing toxins, and then, okay, what oats did you test? Are they grown organically in a good place? Are they grown in a terrible place, taking up all the chemicals? And also, we are metals, so let's not get too crazy about heavy metals. Our blood is iron. We have to remember that we are like all these different minerals that they're inside of us. And we take in food and it makes minerals with the sun. So there's a whole thing that's happening. And so we have to remember that, if you're getting a plant that has a certain type of metal in it, it's not necessarily a toxic metal. If you're eating fish full of metals, that's different. Fish aren't supposed to be full of metals. Do you see? So there's it just depends on the environment it's grown in and all that. But either way, if we're taking it in, we got to love it. So, because we don't want to create that out of alignment, disalignment, I want to say, but I don't think that's a word. But I like making it my own words. So, that's how I live my life. But another thing is, like, recently I was having some little tooth sensitivities, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to take this opportunity to use the homeopathic cell salts, which I know there's a combination of 3 that will remineralize your teeth. And you do it intensely 3 times a day with these 3 salts for at least 3 weeks. And I did that. And on top of that, I saw a really amazing woman I'll try to link it in the in my notes, but she was talking about how we have been told, judged with our teeth, like, oh, you're not brushing, you're not flossing enough. There's a whole thing with dentistry, and she's an ex-dentist who realized what was happening and realized the emotional connections to the teeth. And we all know that the teeth, or maybe you don't, the teeth actually align to different parts of the body, different teeth. They're meridians. So, like the wisdom teeth, which, why would your body grow something for 10 years to be removed? So this is like, dentists are making money off this. This is a part of a narrative. And it's like, yeah, and the wisdom teeth are connected to the heart. So this is just like an interesting look at things and perspective. And she was like, you got to really align with your teeth and love your teeth and get to know your teeth. How many teeth do you have in your mouth? Like, what teeth are connected to what, and it was just like, and things are going on in your life. If your teeth get affected, there's like a connection there, and to resolve the issue so your teeth feel better. And I did that. And actually, the sensitivity, I also did vibrational work on my teeth. I can do that. I can work on individual teeth on the ruler. And so I did a combination of things and, started really paying attention. Oh, this tooth's connected to this. And maybe it's, and if we start going, oh my God, my tooth is hurting. No, then I have to go to the dentist and they hate my teeth and, they're going to abuse me. Because, some of us had a lot of dental work as children. And I personally, and I have another good friend, we both had, our moms were dental hygienists growing up. And we were given the laughing gas and all the things. And the baby teeth were just taken out or filled. Or it just started a whole pattern of nightmarish adventures to the dentist. And it was overdone. It was really like a scam, I had a lot of my teeth filled as a child, my molars, because they were deep. And they said, oh, let's fill them with metal. That's what's important. It's like, okay, they weren't even like bad. They were good teeth. And like, who knows how they would evolve. But this preventative measure of putting all this mercury in my mouth, maybe not a great idea. So, I mean, I think that it's changed maybe over the years, but I do still hear about certain dentists and with children's baby teeth and stuff. I just think you got to really go and check out other dentists if you're getting a certain diagnosis, because they're interpreting charts. I always say when I read people's charts in astrology, it's like I'm interpreting your chart and with my frame of reference. So other people may say other things about your chart. So we have to really understand there's a variation that can happen in even like a diagnosis. But if we're out, it's if we're hating like the dentist, we're hating our teeth because they're causing us pain, we have to really look at other emotional things that are connected to the teeth. And you can change it. I have done a lot of work with the cell salts to remineralize my teeth. And it is really helped because I'm in also time of midlife where I need extra nutrients formed by bones because there is a shift happening. So just knowing that there are ways to fortify yourself during this time. Okay, now I'm really off the topic I was... The point is, you gotta love everything if you're doing it. And the more we're out of alignment with things, I know, and that was the point with the teeth. If I'm in alignment with my teeth, they stop hurting. They don't bother me, and also take action. So there's this, understanding of like, we live in this reality that's saying everything's toxic, everything's dying, this is the end of the world. But I'm telling you, every book I read from any time period that's talking about the state of the world says the same things that they are saying now. So recognize the common cyclical narrative. And it's, if we want it to be good, we have to also think it's good, and make things better in our communities. And just to recognize that there's an overlay of the extractors, these ancient bloodlines that want us to be depressed and thinking everything's dying. So they're trying to give us ways of looking at this reality, but if you literally can change your perception and change your life, so, and perspective. So our eyes can fool us. So I just wish you guys a good day, good spring day.